Hey, mamas, it's your girl Carrie, and welcome back to Mom Wife Career Life. We're continuing our Becoming Her series, and over the last couple of weeks, we've done some really important work together. Part one, we reflected on the woman you've been this year with grace and not guilt. In part two, we zoomed in on the mom you want to be next year, more present, less pressured, and less stuck in that cycle of rushing and reacting. And this week, we're moving into part three, the partner you want to be in the next season of your life. Because let's be honest, when life gets busy, when your kids' sleep schedules are all over the place, when you're trying to just make it through the days without losing your mind, connection with your partner just gets pushed to the bottom of your list, right there with self care. So today we're talking about how to move from managing life together to actually connecting again with intention, not perfection. And before we dive in, I want to remind you of my new freebie, ChatGPT Prompts Made Simple for Moms. It's going to help you free up not just time, but more importantly, that mental space that you need to become her. So you can actually show up for the people and the relationships that matter most. When your brain isn't overloaded with decisions, there's so much more room for connection with your kids, your partner, and most importantly, yourself. All right, mamas, let's jump into today's episode. Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to juggle all the many hats you wear as a working mom? Do you want more quality time with your family without distraction of work, time alone to take care of yourself and your needs? Welcome to Mom Wife Career Life. I'm Carrie, a wife, a mom of three, and a recovering perfectionist. In this podcast, I will teach you how to create balance in your life by implementing healthy habits, organizing your home and your schedule, being so intentional with your time and in your relationships, and most importantly, how to start putting your needs first, because no one can pour from an empty cup. Grab that second cup of coffee, or if you're anything like me, your third. It's time to dive into today's episode of Mom Wife Career Life. As I was waiting for the elevator at a doctor's appointment the other day, I overheard a woman congratulating her coworker on getting engaged. And then, without missing a beat, she followed it up by saying that marriage is going to be one of the hardest things that she'll ever have to navigate in her life. And I'm going to be honest, I was a little shocked. First, I couldn't believe that that was the first thing this woman chose to say to someone who is clearly excited about telling her the news. Talk about a Debbie Downer. And second, it made me feel a little sad for the woman. Now, I know every marriage is different. I know relationships take effort and growth and intentional work, but I also know this. Marriage doesn't have to be hard in a way that so many people talk about. And honestly, I really wanted to jump into that conversation and just offer a different perspective, but instead, I stepped onto the elevator and I minded my own business. But that conversation really stayed with me because here's what I wish more people would say. Marriage doesn't have to feel like a constant battle when you communicate openly. It doesn't have to feel lonely when both voices are heard and both voices are respected. And it doesn't have to feel draining when you encourage each other instead of keeping score. And it doesn't have to feel heavy when you're aligned on your goals and the life you're trying to build together. It doesn't have to feel defeating when you choose patience over perfection. And it certainly doesn't have to feel hopeless when you focus on each other's strengths instead of magnifying every shortcoming, which I unfortunately see so many moms do. Marriage isn't about finding someone who never disappoints you. It's about choosing to grow with someone. It's about showing up with grace instead of resentment, partnership instead of power struggles. Is it work? Yes. Is it worth being intentional about? Absolutely. I can honestly say that my marriage has never been hard, and I know I'm very blessed, but it's also because we've been so open and honest with each other and intentional about spending time together where we actually connect. But I also know how easy it is to fall into survival mode, and romance gets replaced with to-do lists and life logistics, and the conversations are around, did you pay the electric bill? Who's picking the kids up? Do we have milk? No, wait, did we just get milk? Now, if that's what the conversations have turned into with your partner, it doesn't mean that your relationship is broken. It means that you're just busy. And when everything feels urgent, connection gets pushed to the back of your head. And it's something that you just tell yourself you're going to do someday, which we both know rarely happens. But the thing is, your marriage doesn't need more time. It needs more intention. Even the small moments, eye contact while drinking your coffee, laughing at an inside joke, a quick hug that lasts a second longer. Those little things can rebuild your emotional intimacy because connection isn't built on these big, grand gestures. It's built on those tiny, consistent ones. And if you're starting to notice a pattern in this whole Becoming Her series, you're not wrong. Whether we're talking about being a mom, your marriage, or even your own mindset, it always comes back to baby steps, not major overhauls, not grand gestures, not adding more pressure. I'm totally not about adding more pressure. Just those small, intentional choices that you make consistently and make them a habit. And honestly, what I found is it starts with knowing your own and your partner's love languages. And if you don't know what love languages are right now, I want to make sure that you listen to my episode on love languages. I will link it in the show notes. It's a good one. But those 5 love languages are words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, quality time, and physical touch. You need to know what yours is, and you need to know what your partner's is. But today, I wanted to add another love language to the mix, especially for those busy couples in this season of life, because we're all just crazy busy. Time management. Because let's be real, date nights, they don't just magically schedule themselves, and neither do babysitters. If you don't intentionally create that space for your relationship, the world is going to happily fill your calendar with everyone else's priorities. Planning time together can be one of the most loving things you can do for your partner in this crazy season. Just like you plan meetings, your workouts, your kids' activities, plan your partnership. Block time for connection. Put it on your calendar like it's an actual appointment, because it is. We honestly try to plan a night each week that's just for us. Sometimes it's just the two of us. Sometimes it's adult time with friends, which honestly can be such a great way to connect too. And I get it. If your kids are younger and you don't have a lot of support, that can feel really hard. But when your kids are little, they're usually going to bed earlier, which means you have that opportunity to be intentional with the time you have after your kids go to bed. And I know you're probably exhausted after your kids go to bed, but one day a week is so doable and so important. And let's be clear, date night doesn't have to mean going out and spending money. There are so many meaningful ways you can connect at home: a movie night, going for a walk, playing a game, a conversation without your phones, even just sitting on the couch and actually talking instead of scrolling. And if you're stuck for ideas, let technology do the work for you. ChatGPT can be your best friend. And if you haven't grabbed my ChatGPT freebie for moms, go grab it. But an easy one to just type in there: give me low-cost date ideas at home after the kids are in bed, and see what comes up for you. Because when you plan that time together intentionally, you're not just managing your schedule, you're really protecting your marriage. You can think of your marriage like a houseplant. And full disclosure, I am so much better at marriage than houseplants. But with plants, you can't just water it once a month and expect it to thrive. You have to create these simple, sustainable habits that feed that connection every day. And here are just a few things that really work for us. First thing we do is a morning hug. Every morning we make time for a hug and a morning kiss. And honestly, we never go to bed without a goodnight kiss too. It's something so simple, but it can have such a big impact. It releases oxytocin, and it really reconnects you emotionally and physically. The second thing we do is our morning walks. And I know this one is not practical for most people, but my kids are older and can get themselves ready in the morning, and I can leave them home for a little bit by themselves. But 3 days a week, when Russ has to go into the city for work, I walk him to the train, and we use that time to just chat and connect. And we also grab another kiss before we part ways. It's actually really cute, right next to Starbucks. And we sometimes go on evening walks too to walk the dog. But now that it's hitting freezing temps out, I want to be outside as short as possible. So we've been taking turns on who has to walk the dog at night. The third thing we do is our weekly planning sessions. And I'm going to be honest, life has been a little nutty lately, and we haven't been as consistent with this one as we used to be, but we're pretty in tune right now with each other. And also because we have our morning walks to align. So if we don't have time to plan, I have plenty of time to walk and talk with him. So skipping it hasn't been that bad. That said, when I feel like we really need a full sit down where we're just not aligned on things, we totally do it. For example, just the other night, we sat down and we went over where we are with all the Christmas shopping, what I really needed help with, and I needed to brainstorm a last few gift ideas that we still needed to buy. And I'll say this: every single time that we take the time to talk and plan, it feels like this little weight is lifted off my shoulders, because the truth is, your partner isn't a mind reader. And if you're not having open, honest conversations about where you need support, resentment can creep in real fast. And honestly, this goes both ways. Give your partner an opportunity to talk too. Maybe they need something from you or something for their mental health. Maybe it's 10 minutes when they walk in the door to decompress before they jump into family mode. Or maybe they need some time on the weekend for a hobby or something that they're passionate about. I know I talk a lot about finding what you're passionate about, but just like us moms can sometimes feel like we've lost our identity in motherhood, our partners might feel the exact same way. Communication is such a big part of any relationship, and these planning sessions allow you to talk through all of that and to build time in your week so that you both have time and space to do the things that light you up outside of being a parent, outside of being a partner, and outside of being an employee or a business owner, and also time for you to connect together. And just a side note, Russ and I are having a planning session to map out what next year looks like for us. I already started roughly mapping it out on my own, filling with dates that aren't flexible, but we're going to be sitting down and blocking out dates for all the things that we want to do next year. And announcing it now, I'll be hosting a workshop in January on how to plan an intentional year, where I'll be walking you through the exact steps I do to plan my year, and I'll be sharing all the templates that I use. So keep an eye out for that. And if you're not on my mailing list or in my Facebook group, get on both of those, because that's where I'll be sharing all the details along with a new year, new you discount. But starting the new year being aligned and then having weekly check-ins might be the exact thing your marriage really needs right now. And you won't just feel more organized, you're going to feel so much more supported. The fourth thing we do is date nights, which I already touched upon. But again, they don't need to be anything fancy. Russ actually planned an awesome New York City date night for my birthday. This past Saturday, he was going to take me Christmas bar hopping, which I would have absolutely loved. And then we were going to end at this fancy restaurant, but it was giving snow. And as much as we both love the idea, neither of us were feeling it on Saturday. I didn't want to be out in the freezing cold and didn't want him driving in bad weather. So instead, we decided to stay home, and he's an amazing cook. He cooked a steak that is honestly better than most that I would buy in a restaurant. We watched the Knicks game, which we're huge Knicks fans, by the way. We watched a comedy special, and then we watched the end of Die Hard, which I will loosely call a Christmas movie because it all goes down at a Christmas party. And I got most of my Christmas presents wrapped. It was the perfect night, and besides the cost of the steak, it was pretty much free. And don't get me wrong, going out and getting out is much needed and a great date night, but a date night can be just watching TV together. I've actually gotten Ross to watch a few Hallmark movies this season. I'm not big on TV and movies, and I just can't watch anything that's too negative or intense, especially at night. And he's really good about it. Die Hard was an absolute exception, and it's only because I've seen it so many times and it really doesn't have an effect on me, but I try to keep the negativity out of my life as much as possible. And the fifth thing we do is make time for intimacy. And I'm not saying more than that on the show because it's a topic we agreed that I would not talk about on the show, but it's really important that you don't lose that physical connection either. And I get it. It's so hard when life gets busy. So if that's something that isn't on your priority list, you need to put it on there. And again, communication is such a big part of it on both sides. And I don't want you to listen to this episode and feel any pressure to be the perfect partner or to feel like you're falling short. That is not the purpose. I know you've been in go mode all day, and by 9 o'clock, your idea of romance sometimes feels like someone else doing the dishes, which honestly, my love language is acts of service. So cleaning the kitchen is right up there for me, which, double side note, Russ and I were listening to the Dak Shepard podcast on a drive, and he had this guest on that introduced the term chore play, which is a form of foreplay where your partner does chores around the house to help you out. And honestly, I'm all about it. I can't imagine a mom that wouldn't be. So add a little chore play to your life. And I really hope that your biggest takeaway from today's episode is that you don't need to overhaul your marriage. You just need to bring awareness back to it. Notice the things that your partner does right. Say thank you, even for the small stuff. Shift from what aren't they doing to where can we show up for each other. And remember, the partner you want to be next year isn't striving for perfect balance or those romantic movie moments. It's about building real connection, one conversation, one touch, one intentional pause at a time. And I strongly encourage you to share this episode with your partner. It's such a great way to break that ice, get the conversation going, and start getting aligned on what you both want next year to look like. And make sure you come back next week where we're shifting to another piece of your identity, the career you want next year, from surviving work to thriving in your purpose. So make sure you hit that follow button so you never miss another episode. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Wife Career Life with Carrie Pat. Before you go, if you found this podcast helpful, I would be so grateful if you would take a minute, go on over to iTunes and leave me a review. If you have other stressed out mamas in your life that you feel this podcast could help, take a screenshot of this episode, post it on your Instagram stories and tag me, and let them know that they are not alone and they can create balance in their life too. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover or you just want to connect, DM me on Instagram at mom.wife.career.life or come on over and hang out in our free Facebook community, Work-Life Balance for Working Moms. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Wife Career Life with Carrie Pat.